Hi, my name is Katie and I'm going to be demonstrating EKG lead placement for you for this class. I am currently on vacation from the hospital. I don't have access to the equipment I normally do, but in lieu of a mannequin or a person, I'm going to be using my husband's self-defense dummy, and in lieu of our EKG leads, I'm going to go ahead and be using some post-it notes. The skill is still important to know, appropriate lead placement. First, you're going to take a look at your patient. You're going to explain to them what it is you're doing. We're going to be putting some stickers on your chest. It's important that you lie still when we do this and get a good EKG. So the first thing you're going to want to do is feel for the patient's sternum. And up here, you're going to feel for the sternal notch. The first sternal notch down from the clavicles is the second rib. You're going to follow that all the way down on the patient's anatomy and find the fourth intercostal space. So once you get to that fourth intercostal space, that's going to be where we're going to go ahead and put V1 and V2. V1 is going to be to the left of the sternum. V2 is going to be to the right of the sternum. I like to go ahead and skip to V4. You're going to follow that down to the fifth intercostal space, and you're going to want it to be mid-clavicular. So you look back at the patient's clavicle, trace it down to that fifth intercostal space, and that's where you're going to go ahead and put your V4 EKG lead sticker. Now, skipping back to V3, you're going to want to put V3 in a diagonal line between V2 and V4. So we'll go ahead and put our V3 sticker there. Then you're going to continue to follow that fifth intercostal space all the way over to where the patient's chest starts to drop off and starts to go into the axial area. When you get to that space, that's going to be where we're going to want to put V5 and continue to follow that rib space all the way over into the axillary area. So the patient's armpit, essentially. Below the armpit in the fifth intercostal space on the side of the body is where you're going to want to put your V6 lead. So now you have V1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 on the patient. The remaining 4 leads are limb leads. Now this dummy, unfortunately, does not have any arms or legs, but what I'm going to tell you is you're going to want to put the remaining leads appropriate to the patient's limbs, left, right, on the meat of the arms, not over a bony prominence, and also left and right on the lower extremities, again, on the meat of the patient, not on the bones of the patient. It's really important to make sure that you take the time to feel the patient's anatomy, look for those landmarks, make sure you're hitting things in the appropriate spaces, because without that appropriate lead placement, you're not going to get an accurate EKG, and you could be missing signs of subtle ischemia. The other special population you really want to take lead placement into account for is female patients because of breast tissue. So anytime you're doing an EKG or maneuvering a female patient's breasts, you want to make sure that you give them as much modesty as possible. You're explaining what you're doing. You're lifting the breast tissue with the back of your hand, and you really are taking the time to make sure that you're getting those landmarks correctly, because it has been found as a contributing factor to why women have missed heart attacks. Thank you very much for your time, and I hope you learned the importance of appropriate EKG lead placement.